Hey guys, welcome to DM's Craft. I'm DM Scotty. Good to have you with me. I'm going to do a little variation this time, and I'm going to show you some new tools. These are some tools I have never talked about before, but I actually, in my DM life, I've used quite a bit. Now, the difference between these tools and what I've showed you before is there is some cost to the tools. They are not expensive. But there is some cost to them. But I tell you what, these tools are fantastic. I'm an old war gamer, and I've had these tools for years. Now the tools I have are a very old set of the tools from many years ago, and they're all still working, which is fantastic. And I've used them for years and years. Being an old war gamer, I used to make lots of war game terrain. But as a DM, for a war game, you have more time to craft. You're not particularly crafting necessarily particular set pieces. You're just crafting general pieces for the table. Whereas a DM, you're crafting specific set pieces for your games. So I found that the cardboard method was just cheaper and easier a method to do it, as well as storage-wise to do it. But there is still a place for these tools. And I make set pieces all the time for my games, all kinds of little extras for my games. These tools easily pay for themselves, and they're fantastic. So I'm going to grab the case here and I'm going to show you what it is. This is the Hot Wire Foam Factory. I've been in love with these tools for years and years. Like I said, this is a newer set. I was kind of embarrassed to show my set because it's so old, but they all still work. All my tools all still work. They're just the older versions of the tools. This is a newer set of the tools, and I love these tools. So I'll show you. You want to visit at the end of my video. I'll show a little blurb for it. But you want to visit if you're interested in these tools, you want to visit the Hot Wire Foam Factory. Now, one thing with the tools, a lot of people have done videos on these tools. They're fantastic for war game terrain. They're great. You can make castles. You can make all kinds of ruins and all kinds of rocks. There's tons of videos on how to make rocks and that kind of thing. But that's really not what I'm going to center on, in particular today and in other videos. I want to show how to make set pieces and accompanying pieces for our already established techniques. I use these to make stone pillars in my caverns. I use them for set pieces. Today I'm going to show you how to make an ice wall and a firewall out of the pieces. So that's what I'm going to do today. But these tools are great. So there is a little bit of a cost investment, and I'm the cheap DM, so I'm always encourage cheapness. But this is money well spent. You could always ask your honey for your birthday, or your girlfriend, or your mom, or whoever it may be. Hey, next birthday I want a set of these. And I think once you see some of my videos showing what you can do, that you'll want a set of these. I couldn't have them in my toolbox, but I didn't want to introduce these too early on because there is a monetary cost. And I was trying to show that you can do stuff on the cheap. You still can. You don't need these tools, but they will make your life much easier, and they will make you'll be able to make some really cool stuff with them very easily. So I really encourage you getting these tools. But enough of that. Let's go to the table. First off, I'm going to show you the basic tools out of this kit. There are even more advanced tools you can buy, but these are all the basic tools, and these would be enough for starting out. If you decide you love this stuff and you want some more of the advanced tools, you can go to their site and start getting that stuff. This is really all you would need to start, and you'd be good to go. So let's go to the table. I'll show you the tools, and then I'm going to do a project. I'm going to do an ice wall and a firewall. I'm going to talk about how I did it. So with this set, just super easy with this set. So let's go to the table, and we'll start showing you the tools. Here's the first tool I'm going to talk about. It is the basic sculpting tool, and you can see it has arms and it has a wire going across. There are lots of applications for this. You can also see there's an on-off switch on the handle of the tool, and then this the plug will plug into the power source. So there's our first tool. This is the basic sculpting tool. Our second tool here looks very similar to the first. It has arms, but they're a little shorter than the other, and the wire, it's a thicker wire, and you can bend the wire into different shapes. So this is the freehand router tool, and you can see it has a similar on-off switch on the handle, and it also has the plug-in for the power source. So that is the freehand router. This tool here is the hot knife tool. As you can see, it has a thin wire, or a fairly thick wire actually, that just protrudes from the tool, and it has an on-off switch, same as the others, and the power cord. So that is the hot knife. Now the last tool I'm going to show you today is this engraving tool, and same as before, it has the handle with the on-off, but you see that it has kind of a sharpened end, almost like a metal pencil. And this is for engraving details into foam, which is fantastic. I really love this tool. So same as before, it has the power plug in cord, and then the tip for engraving. So there we go. That's the engraving tool. Here I have my power source, and I don't have it plugged in, but this light will come on when the power source is on. You've got this is off right now, so you can increase the power that the tool gets. So if you want the tool to be cut better, or it's a thicker styrofoam or whatever. So let's turn that off for now. There's also a on-off switch here, connecting to the power box. So got that. Now the power box has that lead there, so you just grab your tool, easy as pie. Just grab your tool, plug it right into that, and turn everything on. You're ready to go. You also have an on-off switch here. So when you're using the tool, you don't want to leave it on when you're not using it. So just when you have it, when you're finished cutting with it, just switch it to the off position, and you're good to go. A note about safety on these tools: be careful. They're very hot. Also, when you set it down, be careful where you set it down. You don't want the wire touching anything. This would be okay because it's not actually touching the table, but you don't want to put it on the cord. You want to make sure it gets on the cord or something. It'll melt right through that cord, and then you'll ruin your set. So make sure that you're very careful with this, and you set it on something that will not melt, particularly the cord. So there we go. That's kind of just the basic setup, and once you hook that up, you're ready to go. You're ready to start cutting. Now I want to talk about styrofoam. And you can really use any kind of styrofoam. You can use the white stuff that comes in boxes. This is actually insulation foam, and this is the stuff I like to use. It's going to cost you a little bit of money to get. It's not expensive, but you can buy a giant sheet of this at a hardware store. I generally have to break it up to get it in my car in the parking lot of the home improvement store, but that's what I do. So this is a 1/2 inch thick insulation, pink insulation, and this is 2 inch. So generally what I have is I'll buy a sheet of the 2 inch, and I'll buy a sheet of the 1/2 inch, and I'll just use it up. I'll store it in my garage or whatever, and then use it up, and then when I run out, I'll just buy some more. You can also find this stuff on construction sites if they're, sometimes they're throwing it away, so, grab it. Nothing wrong with that. But I like to use this stuff because it's much denser than the white stuff. It's much more, much more strength than the white stuff. The great thing about the hot wire tools, though, is they will cut right through that beaded stuff. So if you try to cut it with a knife, that beaded white stuff, the beads will be everywhere. You'll have beads everywhere. It's horrible. But if you use the hot wire tools, great stuff. But this stuff I like because I generally don't have to reinforce it. It's already strong enough. I generally don't reinforce it unless it's something that I need the strength for, which is pretty rare. this stuff is strong enough. So that's why I like to start with this stuff. So that's the styrofoam, and I want to kind of show you that. And then for today's project, I'm actually going to use the 1/2 inch. So we'll go to the table and we'll start crafting that with the hot wire tools. So here we go. I have my piece of styrofoam I'm going to use. I've measured out, this is 2 inches high from the bottom here. This is just a line straight across. Now what I'm going to do is turn my tool on. You can see here on the power station that I've got power. So that's good. So I'll let that warm up for a minute. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut, I want to cut perpendicular to this here so that it's a straight line going across. So what I'll use is I'm going to use the hot knife tool. You could use the freehand tool, but I'm going to go ahead and use the hot knife. They also have a scroll table that you can use, so you could do that for it too if you had the scroll table, but you wouldn't need to get that. It would make it easier though. So I'm going to go ahead and use this tool, and I'll just start cutting along the line. And I've turned it to fairly hot, but I want to see how it goes first. So it seems to be going pretty good. So there will be some fumes, so use this in a area where there's plenty of airflow. Also, you want to go slowly, not too fast. This styrofoam is much thicker than the other styrofoam, so it will take longer to cut. And I'm just going to slowly go along that, and I'm going to pull that out so you can see my cut. Always pull towards the side that you're not cutting, so if you don't want to have a dimple or something, you can you won't show up. So here's you can see my cut there. I can bend the styro there, and you can see that it's cut. So now I'll just cut this out, and then I'll just cut out the whole thing, and then we will create our walls. So here I've cut my two pieces. I got one a little longer than the other, but you can see they're just the 2 inch wide. Now I'm going to start, and it's a 1/2 inch thick. Now I'm going to start adding detail to this with the freehand tool. So we'll move to that now. So here I have my piece and I have my freehand tool. So now what I want to do is I want to do the kind of a fire texture on this. So I'm going to grab it and then it can kind of pull the wire when you pull on it. So I'm going to hold these with my fingers to keep it more straight. And then I'll just start digging into the surface like that. You see it just cuts right into it. So you can see I'm getting a certain texture there, and I'll just keep doing that. And you don't want to cut too far into it. Kind of back and forth. You can always add more. So there I've got a nice, I'm going to take that, I got a little extra there. And then I'm going to kind of go like this too. Give it like a fiery. And see, you'll get scraps from this stuff, but it's much better than if you try to just do this with a knife. You'll just have a mess if you do this with a knife. Okay, so now we've got our one side, and I'll do the other side. Same technique. You want to be careful you don't cut too much into it. So there we go. See, we got some really nice sharp looking tops there. I'm also going to do a few little cuts, little deeper cuts into the fire itself. Now that I kind of know how far I've gone into the foam itself, because I don't want to do it, and I don't want to go through the other side. So, but I can make a few cuts in there by looking at the bottom there to make sure I'm not going to cut through. I want to make it a little varied. But look how good that's looking already. That looks great. That's going to be a fantastic firewall. And not in the computer sense. I'm talking kick, throw down, mage sense. All right. Look at that. Look how nice that looks. You can see with it, even without the paint, that it's got really nice texture to it. So I can stand that up, and I'll do a base for it, and we'll paint it up. But also what I wanted to do an ice wall. And I'm going to give you a little bit of demonstration on that. I'm not going to do the whole ice wall, but I want to kind of, since I already showed you the firewall, I'm going to show you kind of a little bit what I would do for an ice wall. So I'm going to use a little piece of the foam and give you a little bit of that technique. I'm going to do a tighter shot in here so you can see a little bit what I'm doing, since I have a smaller chunk. Now I'm obviously only doing a small chunk, but I want to kind of show you what I'm doing. Okay, so I'm using the freehand tool again. Now what I'm going to do a similar thing that I did with the other one, but I'm going to pull it across the surface, but not wiggle it so much. So I'm just barely going under the surface. So I am getting a little bit of variation, but not nearly as much as I got with the fire. So I'm just pulling that through that, right underneath that top layer. Pull that off. So see, I did get a little bit of variation, but not a lot. You know, it did give us some interest. So now I'll do the other side. And, well, I won't do the other side. What I'm going to do is I'm going to show you so what I would do for the ice. So this is going to be the ice wall. So I don't want, it's not going to be the same type of thing that you would with the firewall. It's not going to be as extreme. So what I'm going to do is I'm kind of just pull it across and just kind of come in like this and make it a little more clunky. So I've got some texture on there, but not nearly so pointed as I did. I'll just kind of pull that across. Take that off. Now I am going to come in a little bit, so I'll do some of that kind of stuff. But not nearly, I'm not trying to make it pointed like I was the other one. I'm just trying to get a little bit of variation in the top there. So then just just flat, so it looks like. So this could be used for like a stone wall, or like I'm going to use it for an ice wall. So there we go. And now we'll go to the table and I'll show you what those walls look like. They came out really nicely. So here I have them set up on the table. You can see the nice scale there. Basically these would be 10-foot high walls. From the character's perspective, you can see I have the miniature standing next to it for comparison. I'll give you a little bit of closer look here. So I did the basic. So what I did for this was I did the basic fire technique on this, and then I just glued it to a textured base of thin cardboard. That's it. That's all I did to it. So now this one, I painted white, and then I added some very light blue to kind of give it an icy look, and I think it came out really nice and very, very cheap and easy to do. So these tools are fantastic for stuff like this. My plan is for the tools is to show you this kind of stuff that can make the tools can make this stuff so easy to execute and relatively inexpensive. A lot of other people online have used these tools and do tutorials about doing, you can do like castles and you can do other things. I still use my techniques, all my cardboard stuff. Mostly I use that, but I do use these hot wire tools for these kind of showpiece kind of things. And I'm going to use the tools throughout the coming year to show you how you can easily make craft showpieces out of styrofoam very quickly and cheaply. So yeah, there's an initial outlay to get the tools, but once you have them, you'll be set. You can make anything you can possibly think of with this stuff, just really cheaply and quickly. And you saw how easy it was that I did this stuff. So, and how great it looks, how great the final result looks. So I'll see you next time on the DM's Craft, and keep on crafting. I did want to talk one last time about the styrofoam itself. Now, I told you there are basically two different kinds of styrofoam. There's the beaded styrofoam that when you scratch it, all those little beads pop out everywhere and they're stuck to you and everything. And then there's the kind of, I call it the construction styrofoam, which is the pink blue stuff. That it's basically they put up on a building and it insulates the building. I love that stuff because it's fairly sturdy. It really holds up well. So with the other stuff, it can be very weak. You can reinforce that though. On the hot wire at the hot wire foam factory, they do have coatings that you can put on that kind of styrofoam to make it sturdier, or even this kind. But I find if you just use the pink insulation stuff, you actually have to put a coating on it if you're just using it for tabletop stuff and not really supporting anything. Now, also I want to talk a little bit about paint. Because I base paint everything either black or white, mostly black, which just makes it easy to do. But the foam will not take spray paint well. You do not want to spray paint it. But in a later vid, I'm going to show you can actually use that to your advantage. If I'm doing kind of stone things or things that need to be pitted, I will hit it with some spray paint and it will kind of melt the surface a little bit. So you can do it if you're getting that, if you want to get that kind of effect, but you won't get the coverage of the black because it'll kind of melt into the pink foam, or in the white foam it'll melt even more. But it'll kind of melt into it, and you won't be able to cover it up with the black. So this stuff you do have to hand paint it with the acrylic paints, which isn't a problem. It's pretty easy to do. So, but if you are going for that kind of stone texture, nice little hitting it with the spray paint will give it a kind of a bumpy texture. So, but I just want to warn you: do not try to paint the stuff with spray paint. It will melt the foam. So, and that's something that all foam has. So don't try that. So there you go. Just a few last words about styrofoam itself, and I'm glad you could join me for this special episode. And we'll see you next time. Hey guys, if you're really digging these videos and would like some more information or to talk to other crafters, look at the link below in the description, and you can join my forum on the DM's Craft. We'd love to have you, and I'll see you there.